Do you ever feel like life is one big puzzle with missing pieces? Maybe you faced hardships that made you wonder, why me? Or, what's the point of all this? What if I told you every trial, every challenge, every joy, and every tear is part of a plan greater than you could ever imagine? A divine plan. And it's not just any plan. It's designed just for you. But before you jump to conclusions, let me share a story with you. One that Tolstoy himself loved to tell. It's a story of faith, patience, and purpose. And the lesson hidden within it? It may just change how you see your life forever. Watch till the end of the lesson of the day. Let me begin. Once long ago, there was a poor farmer named Ivan. Every day, Ivan struggled to make ends meet. His crops barely grew. His debts piled up. One day, he knelt in his tiny field and cried out, "God, why me? Why have you cursed me with such a miserable life?" In the midst of his sorrow, Ivan heard a voice deep in his heart. "Go to the top of the hill," it said. "There, you will meet someone who will give you answers." Skeptical but desperate, Ivan obeyed. He climbed to the top of the hill and waited. Hours passed, and as the sun dipped below the horizon, an old sage appeared, dressed in simple robes. The sage looked at Ivan with kind, understanding eyes. "You want answers?" he said. "But before I give them, let me ask you a question." Ivan nodded eagerly. "What does a seed know about the future?" Ivan blinked in confusion. "A seed?" he repeated. "Nothing. It just grows." "Exactly," the sage said. "It trusts that it will become what it was meant to be, a tree, a flower, a fruit. But to grow, it must endure darkness under the soil, storms, drought, even pain. Yet the plan for the seed was already written before it was ever planted." The sage leaned closer. "Ivan, you are that seed." Ivan felt a stirring in his heart. "But why the suffering? Why not just let me grow into something beautiful without the hardship?" The sage smiled. "Do you want to know what happens to a tree that grows without wind? Its roots never go deep. The first strong storm will topple it. Your struggles are the winds that push your roots deeper. Your tears are the rain that waters you. You think God has abandoned you, but He is preparing you." Ivan's eyes filled with tears, not of sorrow, but of hope. The sage continued, "Sometimes we ask for miracles and don't realize they are already happening. God's plan doesn't unfold on our timeline. It's written in ways we can't see, but every delay, every failure, every no is a redirection to something greater." The sage paused, allowing Ivan to take it all in. "One day you will see why every hardship was necessary. Trust that you are exactly where you need to be, even if it doesn't feel like it." Ivan learned a powerful truth that day. Life is not a random collection of events. It is a journey of growth, guided by an unseen hand. And just like Ivan, we all have moments when we feel forgotten or lost. But what if those very moments are part of something much greater? So, my question to you is this: can you trust that the storm you're facing today is watering the seed of who you are becoming? Can you believe that even when the plan isn't clear, the planner knows exactly what he's doing? Reflect on this the next time life feels overwhelming. You are a work in progress. Every tear, every setback, it's all part of a divine design. As Ivan walked down the hill that day, his heart was lighter. But life being what it is, challenges didn't stop coming. Months later, a terrible drought hit the village. Ivan's crops withered, and his hope began to falter again. Just as before, he climbed the hill in search of the sage. This time, his heart was filled with doubt. When he reached the hilltop, the sage was already waiting. Ivan blurted out, "You said there was a plan, but look at me now. The drought has killed everything. How is this part of any plan?" The sage didn't answer immediately. Instead, he motioned to a nearby tree, withered and brittle from the drought. At its roots, something surprising had begun to grow. A small, green sapling. "Look closely, Ivan," the sage said. The drought destroyed what was weak, but beneath the surface, new life was taking root. "But why destroy the old?" Ivan asked, his voice filled with frustration. "Because sometimes growth requires letting go of what no longer serves you," the sage replied. "The old crops were stunting your soil. Their roots were shallow, and they could never yield the harvest you were meant for. This drought didn't destroy you, it cleared the way for something new. Ivan's shoulders relaxed. For the first time, he saw the drought not as punishment, but as preparation. The sage then told Ivan the story of a sculptor. The sculptor was known for creating the most beautiful statues, but the process was brutal. He would chisel, hammer, and chip away at hard stone for days, weeks, even months. One day, someone asked him, "Why do you strike the stone so hard?" The sculptor smiled and said, "Because within this stone is a masterpiece. I'm not destroying it. I'm revealing what it was always meant to be." The sage turned to Ivan and said, "Every hardship is a chisel. Every challenge shapes you into the masterpiece you were born to be. You only feel broken because you don't yet see the full picture. But trust me, one day you will." Ivan nodded, gratitude filling his heart. And though he still faced drought, debt, and struggles, he now carried a deeper faith in the unseen plan guiding his life. You may be in the middle of your own drought right now. You may feel like life is hammering away at you, stripping away everything you thought you needed. But perhaps just like Ivan, you are being prepared for something greater. Maybe the old must be cleared away for the new to grow. The question is, can you trust that what feels like destruction is actually the birth of something new? Can you believe that within the struggles of today lies the masterpiece of tomorrow? Before Ivan left, the sage gave him one final instruction. Take this lesson, but apply it with patience. The drought is not over yet, and neither is your journey. Come back to me when you feel lost again. Months passed, and the seasons changed. Ivan faced more hardships, sleepless nights worrying over finances, family disagreements, and moments when hope seemed like a distant memory. Yet through it all, he remembered the sage's words. He began to see that every challenge brought unexpected lessons. One day, Ivan's brother fell ill. His family couldn't afford a doctor, and Ivan felt the weight of helplessness once more. In despair, he climbed the hill again. This time, the sage welcomed Ivan with a warm smile. "You've grown stronger, Ivan. What brings you here today?" Ivan explained the situation. "I don't know what lesson I'm supposed to learn this time, it just feels unfair." The sage didn't immediately respond. Instead, he told another story, a story about a farmer who had two sons. One son was obedient and stayed home to help his father while the other left to seek his fortune. Years later, the son who had left returned empty-handed and broken. The father embraced him without hesitation. "Do you know why the father didn't scold him?" the sage asked. Ivan shook his head. "Because the father saw beyond the mistakes. He saw growth. The son returned not as the same boy who had left, but as someone wiser and more resilient. The suffering had shaped him." The sage continued, "Your suffering, Ivan, is not a punishment. It is shaping you into someone capable of deeper compassion and understanding. Your hardships are teaching you how to care for others, not just with sympathy, but with empathy." Ivan thought about his brother. He had been so consumed by his own struggles that he hadn't noticed his family's needs. The sage's words hit home. Sometimes, Ivan, our challenges are not just about us. They are about preparing us to serve others. When we stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What can I give?" we unlock the true purpose behind our pain. Ivan left the hill with a renewed sense of purpose. The world hadn't changed, but something within him had. He no longer felt the need to control every outcome or question every hardship. Instead, he trusted that each step, no matter how difficult, was part of a larger, beautiful plan. So here's my question to you. What if your struggles are not just shaping you, but preparing you to help others? What if your setbacks are the foundation for someone else's breakthrough? Think of all the times in life when you've been helped by someone who truly understood what you were going through. That person's empathy likely came from their own challenges. Now it's your turn to grow into that kind of person. Life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. Every hardship, every tear, and every sleepless night has meaning if you choose to see it. Before you go, I want to ask you one more thing. What is life trying to teach you right now? What masterpiece is being revealed through your challenges? Reflect on it, and if you feel comfortable, share your thoughts in the comments. Drop your name in the comments so I know who's listening. One lucky commenter will get a shout out in my next video. Remember, growth isn't easy, but it is always worth it. Be patient with yourself, trust the plan, and know that your best days are yet to come. Thank you for joining me today. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay hopeful, stay mindful, and keep growing.